Brayshaw out of the way first. Did you see what he said about you and how emotionally he spoke about the way you treated him and how touched he was?
They had a little bit of feedback, yeah. It's always nice to be reaffirmed. Strong leadership by Andy. We all like to be affirmed. So, yeah, he'll I think he's back in Melbourne now, so convalescing and recovering. And before we go on too far, I suppose it's really simple. The matter's dealt with. Both players, both club, the official process, and there's been obviously a lot of fallout. But from here, everyone needs to move on. I'm here to talk about Carlton and the game, and there's some healing, physical and mental, on both sides. So from here onwards and upwards.
Have you had to address it with the players again this week, Ross, or have you not spoken to them as a group about what happened on Sunday?
Well, I feel like I've answered. I'm really here to talk about Carlton. Everything's been said and done that can be said and done. We always say it's on the table, it's dealt with, it's done. Those close to Andy, talk to him. Those that aren't, leave him alone, because every interaction can be draining, and I'm sure he's had thousands of blokes he went to school with in grade 2 contact him, and in the end he just needs time and space. And again, the only constant thing, as Robert Wall said to me once, is in AFL football's changed, so it just keeps moving on. We haven't got the luxury to get stuck on an incident in a game from last weekend. It's been dealt with. We all know it's been a huge focus. It was unfortunate for WA football in a lot of respects. There's some great lessons for everyone to take out of it, and as long as we all learn and grow from that, that's the most important bit. There's some learnings, but we get to move on. So, yeah, I mean, I can answer a little bit, but I don't really want to get stuck on it.
Broadly speaking, though, about the whole issue, like Jill spoke about a red card and sent off the rules again today, saying they'll look at it. Do you have an opinion?
No firm opinion. The club hasn't. You hear the commentary. There's lots of pros and cons, and I'm sure it'll be dissected. And there's a lot of change. We've just got to make sure we don't make knee-jerk reactions, and work our way through it. But there's a lot of people in senior positions within the AFL charged with those responsibilities to make those decisions, and they'll ask for club input at the right time.
Going in against Carlton, do you think there'll be any effect out of the derby, or any flow-on galvanisation of the team, or what do you think?
Yeah, well, it's certainly brought us. I think we're a relatively young group. There's been really good morale all year, and they certainly spoke about how I thought our leaders got around the young guys and held themselves together really well, and were quite dignified in a real sense. And when there's a significant event, it can be with your family, whatever. It tends to bring you together. So, but we would, you got to bring a passion. My expectation and our members and part is the same passion brought to the Carlton game this weekend. That's the most critical thing, and the same level of desperation and commitment, and that will stand us in really good stead. That's the challenge for our group. You can't live in the past. You got to move on. You're only as good as your next moment. So Carlton, Brendan Bolton's already speaking about contested ball and tackling pressure. So forewarned is forearmed. So therefore, we know what's coming, and we really need. It's a potential distraction if you let it be. We've got to let it fuel our preparation, our desire to perform well.
The way your leaders led, though, has that made you think that maybe you need to keep some of the experience around next year? Like, that you are quite a young squad. If you cull a few more leaders, then you'll be much younger again.
Well, that's a really good point. I never thought of it that way. I'll take that to the footy subcommittee, and that will help in their decision making, and that will be done at the right time. Me?
As a group to this game?
But how do you measure
I don't know.
Yeah, look, really important. I think post the tribunal, I think Andrew Brayshaw was the exclamation mark, a 35-minute one-on-one. You can't get any more detail to that. And both boys have spoken from the heart, and it's done. You know, it's a business of, and that's why when AFL players leave and they get opportunities in the commercial world, they're fantastic to have for you, because they're very good at putting the next foot in front of the other and accepting their challenge and working their way through. They're not perfect at it, but I highly recommend people in the commercial world, AFL players, that they're drilled, they're resilient, and they move on, and they work through their challenges, and they don't get stuck on things. So that we'd like to think we've done that, but as in the end, the outcome, what we produce on the weekend, will maybe tell us, have we been distracted or we've been hard-nosed pros and got on with it.
How important is this Sunday for the club in front of your home fans? A good performance?
Well, it's always important, and to be honest, I thought our execution let us down. There's no doubt, and there's some learnings out of that. But we had 12 inches to 3. It's not like we were poor. We were poor in executing and got counterpunts and all those things. But if you're talking about baseline, stoppage, bodywork, get it forward, give yourself opportunities, there was a lot to like. Were we slick and composed? No. But when you drill in and you have a good look, there was like more to like. We didn't turn our toes up. We didn't from the start not compete. That's not accurate. Not that you were implying that. So every week's important. It's really always, you know, and we want to play well, be an anywhere, anytime team. But our members and fans, they adore us and we adore them, you know. But typically all year we've been able to give really good effort. I think if you looked at the Brisbane game, you'd say, gee, that was a disappointing performance. But we lost to West Coast by 8 points in the first derby, 4-9. North Melbourne, we lost. We had a few issues. Aaron got concussed. But I mean, on the weekend, there was real opportunities, and they were just a bit too good in certain areas in the end. And then obviously what occurred. So we're looking to produce here what we've basically produced all year: a passionate, committed performance.
Well, if you've got 3 outs through injury, can you tell us anything about the innings?
No, we're still working through it. A couple of decisions to come in. I can't remember the exact squad. Luke was preparing me for the presser. We thought we'd get some Andy Brayshaw questions, so I sort of forgot about the squad. There's a few ins, isn't there? I think I'm trying to think. I think Sheridan's an in, Swatowski's an in. Yeah, because we come a long way out, but it's on the Thursday yesterday for a Sunday game. So we've got our final training session. You're right, there'll be a few changes.
Do we have to try and pronounce the name Sam Swiskowski this week, do you think?
Yeah, look, it's a really good chance, but we've got to look at the balance of the team. You know, trying to find a next man up for Stephen Hill and Andy Brayshaw. So it's an interesting mix we get this week. It's really interesting. And trying to understand what Carlton are going to do. Like, will they play 2 ruckmen? Those sort of things. So we're just trying to strike a balance.
What would he bring to the table, Sam, if he were to play?
Yeah, you been in appeal lately? Yeah, you get there a bit. You're committed. What have you seen?
Well, I haven't actually seen him.
That's right. I'm here to help. Yeah, I'm here to help you. He played at Box Hill in the VFL. As a youngster in the under-18 competition, he was more of a midfielder, but then he was a pressure forward, a quick, hard-running, committed pressure forward, and who's had some hamstring problems, but a couple of years older than the boys. Very level, very committed off-field in his personal life to developing a professional career as well outside of that, and it's been a pleasure to have at the place and held himself together. And so he would play in the front half as a small forward with really good speed, really good repeat effort, really committed to the defensive actions, which the best teams are featuring. If you think, Richmond in particular, those sort of teams, Hawthorn, they're really committed to their pressure acts.
Is he similar? I noticed 7 tackles on the weekend. Is he similar to a Hayden Ballantyne? Is that the type of player he is?
Yeah, very similar. Very similar. Yeah, good competitor, very focused. very fit boy. Yeah,
How far off was, how close was Harley playing?
I love your voice. It just comes out. Sorry, I can't help it. Hey.
How close was Harley to getting up this week?
I expected it to be a week. It didn't quite be that. Pila got the bye, so it's probably a moot point because it's highly unlikely you pick someone who hasn't played much in 12 months after missing and straight in. So, yeah, we'd expect him to be available next week to play football.
And just quickly on Andrew Gaff, last week you said that you'd hope Andy Brayshaw would become the player that Andrew Gaff is. That still stands?
I don't think I said that.
Oh, you said he was a superstar and you hope that Shearer and Andy Brayshaw would become players like Andrew Gaff.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player. He's a champion of the game, and I think Andrew Brayshaw said it. We always support the person, challenge the behaviour, and he's a good person that at the end again had a bad moment. He stacked millions of great moments. He had a bad moment, and unfortunately, he's paid the price for that.
Ross, Nathan sort of indicated that he was fully rehabbed before the Derby. Was he close to playing this week?
Wilson?
5.
Oh, Nathan. Okay, 5. Sorry, what was the question?
He said he was fully rehabbed in a couple of radio interviews ahead of the Derby, and that he was running and he would be knocking the door down this week. Was he ever a chance to play?
I don't know what fully rehab to me. If he was fully rehab, I guarantee you one thing, he'd be playing. Yeah, he's no chance to play. He's not even in the squad this week.
Was he ever a chance? There was never a chance this week.
Not that I'm aware of, yeah.
What about Cruiser? Ross, you reckon he'll play so they go with the 2 ruckmen, or you reckon
It's a good question. I don't think they've done it all year, but Lob's been really good for them. And we know Cruiser is so mobile. He's like that, really mobile, tall, almost the old ruck rover. So they could play both of them. And there's teams that have played both against us. If you look at Vardy last week and Lysette, so they may feel there's an advantage in that. And we know he's a fierce competitor, a real leader of their team, and high-end talent. So, yeah, we'll have to try and plan for both of them, I would think, unless Lob, maybe they just go with the one, I'm not too sure.
You know Carlton a bit. They've been hammered criticised by ex-players, and then I think Parkin said they won't be competitive for 3 years.
I love Parko, but he can embellish with the best of them.
What's
One of the great embellishers.
Do you reckon they'll try to use that as motivation?
He said that this week, did he?
He said that today.
Yeah. Well, no one likes the Barbs. We're all aware of it. Barbs around you. But there's got to be deeper motivations, which is your purpose and what you're trying to achieve in your career and in your life, really. So, but it would probably you just bristle up a little bit, wouldn't you? Maybe it just gives them that little bit, yeah. And they are a club under pressure, but I've been at Carlton. Richmond and Carlton really gave me great opportunities to develop my coaching. So I got a soft spot for the Blues, and they've been a wonderful club. They run into some strong headwinds, and they're doing it the right way. They're very similar to us. They've made their strategy public. We're rebuilding, mainly relying on the draft, trying to complement it with the other mechanisms, and backing in their coach and trying to work through until they come out the other end. And along the way, you're going to get brutalised a bit, but you've got to hold the course. And I think there's no great example than Richmond, is there? I think Damien Hardwick didn't win a final in his first 7 years and hadn't. Do you know what I mean? So there's some good lessons out there for if you're a strong board and strong administration. Back your coach in. Thank you. Ta-da.